The applause had stopped. Harry sat at the Slytherin table with his hands flat against the wood, watching the last of the first years get sorted. The Hufflepuffs were still clapping for someone whose name he'd already forgotten. Across the hall he could see the Gryffindor table, red and gold, loud and easy. A girl with bushy hair was talking rapidly to the boy beside her. Then she looked over, directly at him. Her expression didn't change, but she held his gaze for a beat too long before turning back. The boy beside her glanced over too, then another. Harry looked down at the table. The hat had been certain. Harry hadn't been. Potter. Harry looked up. A prefect stood over him, tall and pale, with a silver badge catching the candlelight. The boy's expression was unreadable. Stay close during the procession. First years walk together. Harry nodded. The prefect moved on without waiting for a response. The girl beside Harry, small, dark-haired, nervous, leaned in slightly. "Do you think they'll make us do something?" "Do what?" "I don't know, a test or something to prove we belong." Harry had no answer for that. He didn't think he belonged. The hat had just been loud about it. Dumbledore was speaking now, something about the start of term, but Harry wasn't listening. He was watching the faculty table. Snape sat near the end, black robes blending into the shadows behind him. His eyes were on the Slytherin table. On Harry, maybe. It was hard to tell. When the feast began, food appeared and the noise rose. The Slytherin table was quieter than the others, but not silent. Conversations happened in pairs, in clusters. No one shouted across the table. The boy on Harry's other side, blonde, sharp-featured, carefully dressed, turned toward him with a smile that looked practiced. "Harry Potter," the boy said. "I'm Draco Malfoy. My father says we'll be seeing a lot of each other." Harry recognized the name. Hagrid had mentioned it. He couldn't remember the context. "Right," said Harry. Malfoy's smile didn't falter, but something in his posture shifted. He leaned back slightly, as if adjusting. "You'll want to make the right friends here, Potter. Slytherin's not like the other houses. We look after our own." Harry nodded because it seemed expected. Malfoy seemed satisfied. "I can introduce you around if you like. Some of the family is, well, they'll want to know you're settled properly." "I'm fine," said Harry. Malfoy blinked. "Fine? I don't need introductions." There was a pause. The boy across from them, broad-shouldered, blunt-faced, glanced up from his plate. Malfoy's expression smoothed out again, but his voice cooled slightly. "Of course, just offering." He turned back to his food. The conversation around them continued, but Harry felt the space beside him grow heavier. The common room was underground. The walls were stone, green-lit by lamps that made everything look like it was underwater. There were high-backed chairs, dark wood tables, narrow windows that showed nothing but lake shadow and murk. It felt old, permanent. The prefects gathered the first years near the fireplace. There were 11 of them in all. Harry stood near the back. The same pale prefect from before stepped forward, his voice carried without effort. "Welcome to Slytherin House. You've been chosen because the Sorting Hat saw something in you. Ambition, cunning, resourcefulness. It doesn't matter what you think you are. What matters is what others will expect you to be." A few of the first years shifted. Harry stayed still. "You represent this house now. That means you don't embarrass it. You don't give the other houses ammunition. You don't make us look weak." The prefect's gaze swept across them, slow and deliberate. "We have a reputation. You'll uphold it, or you'll be reminded why that matters." No one spoke. "Your dorms are through the left passage, boys and girls separated. If you have questions, ask a prefect. If you have problems, keep them quiet." He paused. "One more thing. We don't turn on each other. I don't care what you think of the person next to you. Outside this room, you're united. That's not optional." The prefect dismissed them with a nod. Harry followed the other first-year boys toward the passage. Malfoy walked ahead of him, talking in low tones to another boy. No one spoke to Harry. The dormitory was narrow and cold. 5 beds, 5 trunks. The window showed the same greenish nothing as the common room. Harry found his trunk at the bed nearest the door and sat down. His owl, Hedwig, was already there in her cage, ruffling her feathers in irritation. He let her out. She nipped him once, then flew up to perch on the bedpost. Malfoy claimed the bed by the window. The broad-shouldered boy, Crab he had been called, took the one beside him. Another boy, thin and anxious, settled near the far wall. The last boy, pale and quiet, sat on the bed across from Harry. He didn't unpack. He just stared at the wall. "First day," Malfoy said to no one in particular. "Could have been worse." Crab grunted in agreement. Malfoy glanced at Harry, then away. "My father says Slytherin's the house for people who matter, people who know how things work." Harry pulled his blanket loose from his trunk. He didn't respond. "Must be strange for you, growing up with muggles, but you'll catch on. It's not complicated once you know who to listen to." Harry looked up. He stopped. "I don't really know what I'm supposed to be catching on to." Malfoy tilted his head slightly, as if trying to understand whether Harry was joking. "The house, how things work here, who your people are." "Right," said Harry. He didn't know what else to say. Malfoy studied him for a moment longer, then shrugged. "You'll figure it out." He turned back to his trunk, but his tone had lost some of his warmth. "Everyone does." No one spoke. Harry lay down and closed the curtains around his bed. Through the fabric, he could hear the muffled sounds of the others settling in, trunks opening, whispers, the creak of bed frames. He stared at the canopy above him. The green light filtered through, dim and cold. The hat had put him here. Snape expected him to fit in. Malfoy expected him to follow. The prefect expected him to represent something. Harry closed his eyes. He hadn't agreed to any of it, but they were already acting like he had.